what HRTP has given you so that you make it better. Yes, so welcome to our Tech Talk this Thursday. And Nelson here will be moderating this event for today, and will be able to show us what are we looking forward to. So we are looking at employee productivity and time attendance system spotlight. So we discussed attendance last week, and we discussed productivity. How do we measure productivity? And we say that we can use it from the customer perspective, customer impact, the impact that you have from the customer side, the quality of production that you have. So what is the prospect of your quality of production? So if you're producing, maybe you're producing loaves of bread. So how many of them have defects that needs to go back? That's still productivity. How many of your customers are happy? Productivity measurement. And we checked also and say that we can also look at productivity in terms of employee wellness or mental being of an employee. So when we do satisfaction survey, when we do pulse survey, when we do employee engagement surveys, then we are talking about employee mental well-being, because it actually affects work. Remember, in health and safety, if you look at health and safety and those of companies who are doing ESG or environmental, social, and governance, you'll be told that if employees are not actually mentally stable and you're doing production, you will have increased accidents or incidents in your company. So that's why we are looking at productivity also in that measure. And the last one was, how do we measure productivity? By time optimization. All these four areas have been proven to be effective in measuring employee productivity. So you can use any of them, but a good HR who does performance management would want to combine employee KPIs to cover all those four areas. Yeah, so that whenever they are looking into discussing the attendance or the productivity of an employee, they cover those four areas: the customer impact, the production or the service that you're delivering. We look into the employee well-being, and now look at the time optimization. So, and that's why we're coming to this discussion and saying, okay, can we see how these systems work? Yeah. And now as we get into our discussion, our partners here that enables us to have this session so that we can use their systems to learn, to understand what's there in the market. And I'm telling you, once you go through these systems, you understand them. Then if someone brings you another system, you would say that, okay, I know what you have. Just tell me what different things do you have, or I have this in our company. So what do you have from your end? So we are having WorkPay, HR system, and a company based here in Kenya. HRMates, also a good HR system. We have got FinClock, a HR system that also does full HR. And then I tried my hands in tech and developed HR Metrics Analytics, the app. So you can also download it on Play Store and try to use it calculating your metrics. Now we are on end month, so you can use it to calculate your metrics to give a proper report. Then we have got Paragon People Solution, HR firm, a consultancy firm that will support you in HR issues. So we are saying that we are open to HRMS providers who do want to bring us, to enlighten us through their systems, that I can share what WorkPay has done, FinClock has done, all those. They have come up and said, okay, these systems are there in the market. We have this is what we are offering, and you can actually look into it and give us feedback and use it to learn. We're also saying that if you're looking for HRMIS, just get in contact with me, then I'll be able to support you get one that will fit your demands. We also wish to bring in experts who are able to get the discussion that we are having. We say that we cannot be professionals in everything. So if you are a good HR in any area, like I know Scove is here, a good coach, Jelican is here. But even if you didn't know, today we are having an AI that you're able to say what problems you have, and they'll try to give you solutions. So, but remember, our coaches have got the human part. That's what we're talking about. So they can come in, tell us how coaching works. Then we link to technology. So how will we link technology to HR? Yeah. Then HRMIS training, if you're looking to get a position that requires HRMIS training, then you can actually get in touch with us. And we have been doing that, done it to a few people. Glad they got the interview, and I always take them through. Now, after training, after getting the job, now you need to prove yourself, right? So again, we continue just on a guidance, mentorship until now they fit comfortably. So you can reach out to us, and that's my number there. Yes. So in last time we talked about time attendance in HR Tech, and we said 4 things are important. Attendance policy. You must have a top-notch policy on attendance. How do you want to manage your attendance? How does it affect leave, off days, shifts? So who does what? What is the role of the manager? What is the role of HR? What is the role of the CEO? What is the role of system providers? What is the role of the watchman? So every other person, what is the role of the normal employee? So once that is done, then now you can now start talking about shifts definitions. Which are shift definitions now depends with what you have in your company. How does the business run in your company? When do you have most customers coming? When do you have most inquiries being made? Then now you can define shifts. And then now you can plan. So who needs to get into what shift? And how do I put that? So do we have an easy way out of that? Then now attendance capture, the device that you've seen here, we have those devices that you are there, that you've seen there. So how do we capture that attendance? And we're saying that now these systems are able to guide us to capture that data. And then if you combine all this together and now a system framework, then now you are able to do attendance in a better way, in the tech required way. But remember that attendance policy must be top-notch, must be dating very well with Data Protection Act, because remember, taking people's data onto that. So, and we promise that this week we're going to have attendance management systems that show us how do we capture that. The systems that we have, are they able to allow you capture attendance? Are they able to allow you manage it? How will your policy look like in that system? How will your shifts look like in that system? How do you have a rota in that system? And that's why we brought in WorkPay and FinClock today. And Jaylene Namu, I will discuss with her so many times. She's a good friend of mine. And she'll be here to take us through WorkPay system. And Paul Gasheru, a senior systems engineer at FinClock, also here just to show us. And it's a good thing that now today you'll not be hearing from me, and sometimes I might be explaining how these systems work, and you feel like I don't bring it up properly. So we have the team members coming in now to show us what do we have. And sometimes you don't get the chance to be shown these systems unless you're serious, you want to buy. Yeah, but now they are coming here to show us what is there in the market. They are sharing the knowledge with us through a collaborative way. So I want to bring in Joelena, 5 minutes. Just introduce yourself, tell us who you are, give us a bit, then later on we'll give you time to demo the system. And also I want to, after that, then we'll bring in Paul to also tell us about their company, what they do. And then we get into the systems. Then after that, we now have open discussion like we had last week, where we brought in our ideas and actually learned that attendance is not only for traditional management of attendance, but a serious thing that we will need today. So Joy, you may come in.
Team. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you all. My name is Juliana Namu. I am senior business advisor at WorkPay. So basically, WorkPay is a HR and payroll system. We have incorporated a number of people processes by ensuring that we are able to automate them and streamline these processes within your organization. Our system is global, so we are currently being able to run global payroll for about 27 countries right now. So that enables us to at least accommodate companies that do not only have legal entities in Kenya, but also have legal entities in other parts of Africa. WorkPay has been around for the last about 5 years. We currently have a team of about 1,000 clients that we are servicing in different sectors. People are able to specify that I just want to use payroll, I just want to use leave management, I just want to use benefits administration, I just want to use time and attendance, especially when it comes to security firms. I just want to make payments from the system directly to my clients or only to my employees. Specifically that you're powered to just ensure that you achieve compliance in any particular way, whether you want to achieve compliance on payroll, and we also sit in as your advisor. So we'll not only sell the solution to you, but we'll just ensure that if you have questions about anything and you're not sure about how to go about it, we just advise you on what is stipulated by the labor laws, what is stipulated by specific statutory bodies, so that you're able to do the right thing the right way using our system. Nelson, I felt like 5 minutes was a lot. I think that's it. That's it for me.
Thank you for saving into our time so that you're also allowing others that will come in. So thank you, Joanna. And actually, what I've liked to what you've said is that you support after giving a system, you support. And we have many providers who give you a system and they forget about you. They wait for you to come back and ask them something. So if you don't talk, they won't do anything. So I think that one is a good that I'm hearing from us. And for those of us who are here, if your company does, if the people that you're having doesn't support you, you should be demanding that. That's why we're saying that now we are learning together and understanding what's happening. Engineer Paul, please welcome. Paul Gasher.
What's a sleep here? You will find them.
My name is Paul, and I'm glad to be talking to people close to home. I'm in the US, and I work at a company called Fincook LLC. But I have grown up in Kenya, went to school in Kiambu, then I got a scholarship, went to Dover. That's why I live. So I'm happy to be here today. And Nelson, you are doing a great job, especially discussing productivity, because that's exactly what is going to differentiate a successful company and one that is not. So briefly about FinCroc. Let me share a screen here. So yeah, let me share a screen here. So basically, for us, we are a software company focusing on 3 aspects. That is people, productivity, and increasing profitability in companies. And we have built multiple solutions, but the most important one for this discussion is the HR. So I'll just focus on the HR for now. So you're going to realize that Nelson was saying AI is here. So for us, we decided to be an AI first company. So we are providing you with all the AI tools alongside other services like attendance, leave management, employee management, all those things are there. But we add AI layer onto it. And if you can see my screen, we have 3 offices. In the US, where I am, in Dover, we have an office in Nairobi, Country Plaza, and another one in Abu Dhabi. So, and we have quite a number of customers. I'll say in the next 6 months, we'll be a unicorn. A unicorn means a company that is serving in the excess of 100,000 people on a daily basis. So that's where we are. I don't know how many more minutes I have. Was basically that would be it, because I'll come to the system later and do the demo. Nelson, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Last time we spoke, you were here. Kumbe, you are out of this country. Yeah, so yeah, it's a good one for us. And yes, now, team, we are looking at now into attendance systems. We discussed the theoretical part of it, and I've shown the theoretical part of it and what to even expect an attendance system. So I would want Joydan just to give us a demo of how workplace system looks like, and then Paul also do that. So I think Paul, I don't know whether Joy or Paul, whoever would want to start first. Then from there, then now we can do an open discussion, because again, I know team that is coming here, the HRs that we have here also have something in mind on how they would want this system to look like. And it will be good for us to dictate what we want from the providers as HR, so that we develop our own industry, get our own solutions. the system currently coming in a way that you can actually say what you want. And that's what we are doing in HR Tech Talk and learning how these systems work. So I can see Joy's screen is up, and Joy, take it up in the next maximum should be 10 minutes, but I know you are a bit faster. So take it up.
Thank you, Nelson, for that. I'm lucky. I can hear that most of us are having challenges of having small human beings around us. Mine has just gone down, so it looks like this is going to be a little bit peaceful. So thank you, Nelson, for this opportunity once again to pick it up from the top in regards to our time and attendance module. So 2 key things, or rather 3 key areas that we've been able to focus around time and attendance. First of all, we want to understand what exactly are you looking to achieve using your time and attendance module. So when you ask what you're looking to achieve, there are specific people who want to link it to payroll, or specific organizations who want to link it to payroll. You find that there are other organizations who want to calculate worked hours. So you generally just want to know how many hours my employees worked. Other people want to know what time, where did my employees clock in at, and how many, in terms of breaks, how long were you out there? And then you find other categories who want to manage shifts or even schedule shifts for their employees. We've been able to power these in 3 main ways. One is having a mobile app whereby you're able to clock in, clock out. So basically on WorkPay, you'll be able to get a mobile app for your users where they can access all their information. We're talking about their pay slips, their P9 forms, requests for expenses, requests for leave, requests for salary advances, requests for overtime, all these things. And of course, overtime is still linked to time and attendance. And within that app, an employee is able to clock in, clock out. I know I have this feature right here, whereby an admin on the other side is able to clock in, clock out on behalf of the employee. So the clock in, clock out feature is geotagged. One thing you'll be able to pick is which employee actually clocks in, because of course the app is logged in using the employee details. Where did they clock in at? That is a location, and at what time did they clock in at? Same thing as clocking out, it will pick the same information, which employee, what time, and which particular location. And that is what enables you to know the number of hours worked. You're able to pick if they clocked in at a different location, and in such a manner, an employee is able to manage their own time and attendance. If you're in the field, if you're in the office, using your mobile app, you're able to do that. So geotagging. The other bit is on our integration. So if you have a physical biometric device, a fingerprint, a handheld device, or facial recognition device, will be able to integrate that to WorkPay. The minute an employee clocks in, because they've already been added to your WorkPay account, then it will pick that an employee has clocked in, which particular employee, what time, and in which particular location. When we're setting up, we usually assign employees to specific locations, especially for organizations that have different branches. So we'll be able to set that up. The other bit is, we have, for example, security firms whose security guards do not really have smartphones, so they're not able to clock in, clock out. You cannot install a biometric in every site that you're on. You don't even know whether your contract is going to be renewed. So how have we powered that for these organizations that have different locations or have few employees, cleaning companies, etc.? Most of the time, you'll find that there's a supervisor for every site. How we've powered that is by being able to generate QR codes that are compatible with the system. And then we'll be able to, of course, the supervisor has a phone, that they're able to scan that particular QR code, and that QR code is individual or to each and every employee. So we generate QR codes that are unique for each and every employee, add them to an employee's tag, and they're able to check into their workstation or check into the site. The supervisor will scan the QR code. Since the mobile app on the supervisor's app as an admin is linked to their WorkPay account, you will still get reports on this side, which employee clocked in, what time, in which particular location, what time did they clock out, what is the total number of their worked hours. So those are the 3 key areas that we've been able to capture time and attendance. I'll pick it up from the top using our mobile clock in, clock out, using integration with biometric devices, and also the QR code that enables employees or rather supervisors to clock in or rather to scan these QR codes on behalf of their employees. Beyond that, you'll be able to have access to reports. So what I am currently showing on my screen is an attendance report, whereby, of course, you can see the clock in bit. You can manually clock in from this. And since my account is not integrated with the biometric right now, I may not be able to actually do it on this side and see the reflection. But if you want to manually clock in, sometimes you know that devices might have issues. An employee might come with a broken thumb. I'm kidding, but maybe, and the admin needs to clock in on their behalf. So what they need to do is come pick a specific employee project. Most of the time for people who are in physical locations, we call them projects or sites. So you're able to pick that this employee works at Mpesi Lane, and then what dates are they clocking in, what time. You can see it's actually picking the actual time. You cannot clock out before if you're doing it manually, so you cannot clock out before the actual time comes. For example, if I pick 11 p.m. and I want to clock out at 11 p.m., you see I actually have warning up there. The clocking time selected has not yet arrived. So you cannot clock in before, and you cannot also clock out before the time is on. But what I'm talking about in regards to audit of how this runs it is that in regards to location, the system cannot work without having your location on as an employee. But when you're doing it manually, then since you have the rights on your end, it's very easy for you to do it on behalf of your employees. You can see that clock in, clock out has been able to calculate the duration in terms of worked hours. You can check the number of clocking attempts. Sometimes you want to see how many attempts an employee put in. You'll be able to filter by branches. If you have specific branches, for your organization, you'll be able to filter by shifts. You can filter by employees. Let's talk about a lateness report. When you talk about lateness report, it will pick, of course, when you're setting up a specific employee, let me just go back up. When you're setting up a specific employee, you usually set up what are their work timelines. From what time to what time do they work? For example, 8 to 5, and that is what will power the lateness report. On the lateness report, I'll show you that under settings, how to set up that. And the lateness report, for example, you'll see that this particular employee, Canan Terry, clocked in at, this is just today. It shows that they clocked in at 8 p.m. and they already have a shift of 8 to 5. So it's showing you that they were late by 11 hours, 32 minutes. Under actions, you can check how many clocking attempts they had under there. So under the lateness report, you'll be able to see what time an employee is supposed to come to work and by how long they were actually late. With regards to report, you'll be able to see whether you want to see a daily report or you want to get a data range. Maybe you want to see for the whole month, a specific week, however long you want to filter this information. Let's talk about shifts. So when you talk about shifts, most of the time we want to create a shift. A shift usually has a break. A shift usually has the time that you need to clock in at. A shift usually has, what is the period of your shift in regards to timeline. When you're creating a new shift, of course, it will ask you what type of a shift do you want. This is usually on the settings. Most of the time it will custom make it. You can see the custom bit whereby speak whatever language makes sense to your organization. Is it a morning? Is it an afternoon? Is it a day? Is it a night shift? You're able to do that. Let's pick a day shift, for example. Enter the name of the day shifts. Let me just try putting something like Shiriki team. I don't know what that means, but it's okay. What time does it start? I'd say that the shift starts, say, at 6 a.m. Shift starts at 6 a.m. and the number of hours worked are supposed to be 8. What time do you allow your employees to, to come in, or rather before start time, when you start calculating the number, maybe you'd say in terms of minutes, actually asking for that, I'd say 15 minutes. After start time, that is 15 minutes. What time, especially in the manufacturing industry, they usually have a lot of issues around security. What time do you want your employees to clock in? If somebody comes in before time, do you allow them to clock in before that? I'd just say 5, maybe 5 is a minimum time for people to do their briefing, I'd say. And then around overtime cap, this is whereby you're setting up that if your shift is supposed to be 8 hours and you work for 10 hours, then the 2 hours are an overtime. But when you're capping these, you're saying that you do not have any overtime hours cap, whereby if you work for more than your 8 hours, then anything around the overtime should actually be approved. So you're putting a limit to overtime for your employees, because you'll find that around productivity, around audit at the same time, some employees will just chill, dilly-dally. I just want to get an hour this week, an hour this day, 5 hours this week so that I get paid for them. Yet I know I'm not really doing anything. So you can decide to say you want to say that, yeah. So you can actually have 0. So I'd say maybe 1 hour. Do you want to count worked hours from start time? Immediately somebody clocks in, or you want to count it immediately at the 6 a.m. Then does this particular shift have a break? Then you'd say yes, it has a 30-minute break, so that when you're, for example, at our organizations, if you're working 8 to 5, your 1 to 2 p.m. is actually a lunch break. So the system will always pick that if you are away within that period, because you clocked in, clocked out, it will pick that that particular 1 hour was part of your 1 hour break. Then you'll be able to save this particular shift. Should not be more than the duration. That's okay. But beyond that, what I'm trying to say is that you'll be able to set up specific shifts, and you will also be able to set up the number of breaks that you have. If you do not have any breaks and it's a full-time shift, then that is okay. And then beyond that, you'll be able to now shift schedule from a point of assigning these particular shifts to specific employees. So when I say assign a particular shift, you select, you can bulk assign or individual assign. John Shege, which particular shift do I want to add him on? I'd say maybe day shift 90 based on what you have put in. Is it a recurring shift that he's always on this shift, or you're just doing a rearrangement? You can say maybe it's a recurring shift. Is it a single date? If it's a single date, with specific dates, because sometimes we do some local arrangement. And then if it's a data range, you say that I want John to be on this particular shift between Friday and next week Thursday, so you're able to put in your data range. Within that, the next time you should be able to add that information over again. You can filter by a specific period or a specific data range. You can filter by specific branches, and you can filter by specific job titles. Maybe you have supervisors, you want to see in which particular shifts they're there. Forgive my internet, it's actually acting up. You'll be able to have access to a register as well. So for example, for the 30th of March, you'll see the people who are present. You can filter by branches, shifts, employees. This is just a register. It's not showing you anything around around the attendance report. You'll have a feature around worked hours. So if you want to also check the number of worked hours for specific employees, you'll have that access. You can manage your off days from here by either assigning them, and assigning, you can either do individual assigning or bulk assigning of off days. We know that it's a policy that an employee should work for 6 days, rest for 1, or yeah, so you can assign that, or you can even create a schedule whereby it's recurring. After every 6 days, an employee actually goes on an off day. If you introduce rest days for your employees, well and good, whereby you're able to give them a few more of rest days beyond the off days that they're entitled to. You'll have analytics that you'll have access to. In regards to analytics, about that, you'll see the total number of employees, for example, that were at work today. You'll be able to see in regards to specific shifts, how many people are assigned to that particular shift, how many people were present, and how many people were absent on your end. Again, you'll get, of course, a report down here is usually in regards to the total number of worked hours, absenteeism in terms of the total number of hours, etc. So basically on our time and attendance module, since this is already integrated to your work pay, your biometric, or even the clock in, clock out, 2 key things are paramount here, 2 key things are important here. If an employee is on leave, this is already linked, because under employee status, it's already showing that an employee is on leave. So you're not risking the fact of having an employee floated as an absent day or floated to have an absent day simply because they were on leave and they did not clock in on their end. This is usually practical when you're using the system. Then the other bit is usually around absent days that are featured under payroll. So if an employee is not on leave and they've not clocked in within the system and it's mandatory, then you'll find that that particular day will still be floated as an absent day. Around our roles and permissions in the system, when it comes to users, of course, you want to limit who is managing this particular bit known as time and attendance. When we feature the aspect around roles, of course, you want to specify who's actually in charge of time and attendance. Just give it a minute. Let me try and reload it and so it's going to work better. So in regards to that, under time and attendance, because there are many things that are there. Is it creating shifts? Is it scheduling shifts? Is it actually having access to the reports? All those, you'll be able to man who exactly gets to do what within the organization. So we're talking about access rights for specific employees, access rights for specific admins, and beyond that, you'll also be able to get an audit log that shows you what exactly is being done where and who did what at what time. Looks like I am a little bit stuck here. Let me try again. Nelson, am I out of my 10 minutes? You really praised me. I think I'm already out of my 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm almost telling you that can you stop? But then I think as it loads, then we can just I don't know how far you are from completing so that you can load, then you can come back and show us.
No worries. I think I can just finalize at this point and just say that you'll be able to limit roles and permissions for different people within the organization, who is managing the shifts, who's scheduling the shifts, who's having access to these particular attendance reports. And at the same time, we as Workplace still support you through the process to just make sure that whichever direction you choose, are you using the QR codes, are you using the mobile clock in, clock out, are you using are you using the biometric devices within the organization? We just ensure that you're as comfortable as you wanted to be to ensure that you track whatever you're looking to. I usually tell my clients that sometimes time and attendance, or rather calculating the number of worked hours, does not show that an employee was productive. For example, at Workpay, we don't use our time and attendance to do what? To check whether you're productive or not. Of course, we have our KPIs, we have our OKRs that you're supposed to achieve. It's for two purposes. One, if you want to get your lunch allowance for the days that you're assigned to come to the office, please just come to the office. Secondly, we usually have a policy for a 3-day work week. So HR will be able to use that to check whether, based on the contracts that you signed to work 3 days a week, you'll be able to fulfill that. So I think it depends on what goal an organization has in regards to using their time and attendance module. Is it the number of hours worked, especially for casuals? That's very key. Is it in regards to just manning or just making sure that you're tracking something else within the organization? Could be for security purposes and etc., different purposes. So if you have that, then you're able to align and ensure that you're able to use Workday to power that. Thank you, Nelson. I think that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. And actually, you've just added a point that last time we didn't say, that in companies nowadays, because people get lunch allowance, so they'll want to link your attendance to the lunch allowance so that whenever you clock in, it counts that you are at work. So then now your allowance is tabulated correct, so that you don't start guessing when you are present and when you are absent. And you can actually prove that I got less allowance based on that. So you can see that attendance that you are working on has got so many things that and how so many that it can be used. Even if you're planning to prepare some lunch, to bring to the team from a vendor, you'll know that by 8 a.m. when people are clocking in, you already know that today I'm having 20 people who have clocked in. Those are the ones that I'm planning for. So you can also be able to manage properly. Yes, so Paul, we give it to you to share with us what you have, and then we can now open the discussion so that the team can also bring in And there are some questions here that Jelena will be answering. So we'll also wait for the one from coming that will be coming to Paul. So Paul, take it up.
Yeah, thank you, Nelson. And we have to appreciate Joelina's work. That's good. So I'll try not to sing to the choir too much by not repeating that which has been said. So first thing first, if you are trying to introduce any system to a company, you have to ask yourself 3 simple questions. 1, is it simple? 2, is it improving productivity? And the last one is it saving us money? Those are the 3 main questions that we ask ourselves. And I remember when I was doing this system, I was somewhere in Tharaka County in Kenya, trying to eliminate ghost workers. So I had to, first of all, find a way that I can make the system very simple. So let me go to the system and see what you have. The first thing is we add your people. You can add your team here. So if I am adding Richard Magoma, I'll just type your name and invite you. When I invite you here, you are going to get an email with your login credentials, your mobile application logins and all that. Then you can add the departments, sales, engineering, all those departments. Then the work shifts. Here, you have the shift name, the start date, when that shift should start and end, the time. For us, you also added the lateness time. So if someone is supposed to come in at 8 and they come in at 8:10, then maybe we should know that they are late from maybe 8:11. You can give a few minutes for that. Then after that, after you create the shifts, you'll be able to assign these shifts to people. So like you can see here, I can choose Anne and assign her a shift. The morning shift, it can be any shift. Then after you assign these people the shift, what happens? Now, they first of all get an SMS that, yes, this is the shift. You have to understand that maybe Anne is working on night shift this week. Then next week she's working on the morning shift. So we ensure that if you have many employees, they are automatically notified when you change their shifts. Then after that, that's why now you choose how do these people clock in and clock out? So let me show you how we do that. In our system, we have different biometric machines. We designed this. These are portable. This one is a portable machine. This one is fixed. Some are fixed. Then we also have the mobile application. So remember, we invited Richard. So Richard will just come in and log in with his name and password. And if he is at the specific work location that is been assigned, he will be able to clock in. If not, you'll see this message. So technically, Richard has to walk to the office to clock in. Then if he's at the right workstation, he can clock in and clock out. So of course, after you clock in and clock out, now that's when you start seeing the data. We start seeing the information about clock in and clock out. And for us, we try to simplify the work of a HR manager or an executive, because you realize that the whole discussion that you mentioned in the starting of this meeting about whether there is the attendance is old school or not, is simply because those biometric machines don't really improve productivity. They shifted from one department to the other. So they shift the data collection, attendance data collection from the operations to the HR. So you find that if you have 1,000 employees, you require almost 20 people to be scrutinizing those attendance records. So our system doesn't require you to do that. We have tried to nail the timesheet analysis such that if someone clocks in and clocks out, the system can break it down into the shift-based timesheet, whereby you just see the time in, time out for all the shifts combined. And then you have the daily timesheet. The daily timesheet, now you see how many hours someone works for a certain day. And then, of After that, you have the monthly timesheet. So if you're using this data for analysis of how many hours someone worked, you have the monthly timesheet. So like you can see, Anne has worked for 48 hours only. Simple LLC, that's me, that's my test account. So 35 hours. Now, if let's say, Richard, I'll buy you tea after this meeting. I'm going to be using your name many times. So
I'll make you accountable for what you have just said. I'll report back.
So I'm saying, if Richard is the manager and wants to process this timesheet, he doesn't need a big team to try and see how many hours Anne worked or Joelyn or whomever. So the system automatically processes that for you. And there are those which are bona fide to be paid, and others are outliers. So the system also is going to process this timesheet for you. And as you can see here, there are those hours that someone works within the shift. So there are those which someone like Anne here has worked outside the shift. So they come in this analysis. Outside shift, early hours, overtime hours, off location, and suspect hours. This is just all combination of other issues. So you as a HR, you just need to come here and check, okay, Anne clocked outside the shift. So can I update that? Do I have a backup record to show that these hours should be paid? Then you can approve that or reject it. Then up to that point, as a HR manager, you now can push that to the payroll, or it can be pushed to other things. Other things, I mean the productivity metrics. For us, we have multiple, but in regard to attendance, we have the staff performance analyzed in terms of percentage. Like you can see here, Anne has clocked in a few days, so he has 10%. Annette has 0. So the system is going to help you with these metrics so that you don't have to go back and do manual processing. That is the staff performance. You have the lateness report, of course. So the lateness report picks the days that someone attended and then they came after the shifts. We also have the absence here. The absence report. You can see the number of days people didn't come to work from the starting of the month. So like for me, I have not clocked in for 30 days. Then it's also important to balance your workload. So we included another report about dormant staff. Dormant is someone who is in your system and they have never appeared in the attendance system. So this is exactly what you see. You can just pick this report as a manager and follow up. Why do we have Antonio in the system, but he has never clocked in since maybe this quarter? That is how we've tried to simplify the work of a manager. And of course, there isn't a way that you can work with attendance and get complete attendance reports without incorporating the leave requests. So in the mobile application, we have a way that someone can be requesting for their leaves. And when they request for their leave, of course, that is not going to be counted as an absence day. And just to go with our mantra of the company, the mobile application has an AI assistant. So an employee doesn't have to call you every day asking for basic questions. So using the mobile application, someone can answer, can ask the AI those questions they have. So that's an added feature. Let me go back to the system a bit to discuss something called body punching. Body punching is whereby you have the HR, or you have maybe an operation manager. They are colliding with an employee, such that the employee doesn't come to work, but the supervisor clocks in and out for them. That was a major issue over time, and we decided, okay, let's just deal with it. So first, on the mobile application, you must have your biometric features, either a fingerprint, facial, or two-step verification or the biometric machines. That way, we are sure that, okay, if it is Richard who clocked in is actually Richard. Then the other thing is, you as a manager, you might want to see where your employees are. So we have the work map. So if people clocked in from this region, you will see their specific work locations. And there's another important thing. It's called geofencing. Geofencing is whereby if Richard works at KICC, yeah, if Richard works at KICC in our system, you're able to set that, yes, Richard works here, and we pick the location, and then we can also pick the radius within which he can clock in. So he has to physically go inside that radius. If it's not, then of course the system automatically analyzes that as out of location. The other things I think which have already been said, like managing the profile of a person, changing their shifts, changing their work location, their post. We have all those things. And for us, we try to make it simple for everyone. So if someone wants to start using this system, you don't have to take a long process calling us. You just need to sign up on your own, add your employees. Then from there, we actually do the follow-up. Because I'll know who has signed up, then I'll let that be known by the sales team, and they're going to follow up with you. You try for free for a month. And after that, we will have understood your needs. We discuss your needs, and maybe we can implement other things. So I think, Nelson, I should be out of time. If I'm not, then I will touch briefly on the work itself. How many minutes do I have? Yes.
No, you don't have any minute.
So
Yes.
let me borrow 1 minute for you to show you how we take care of work reports. So both on the system and the app, we have a way that someone can actually make work reports on what they are doing. See, time and attendance. Yes, the person, Richard came to work, but what did Richard do? Richard has to be assigned some tasks, and they have to make work reports. If they miss this, that's a second metrics on their work performance. So for example, here, you can see the tasks that these people have been assigned, and you can see their performance. So combining time with work reports, the system gives you a much more holistic perspective. And I think I can stop at that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you. And actually, I remember some time back when I went for an interview, I've never seen HR systems. So when I was asked, I said, yes, I will use one. And getting people who are training HR systems in 2015, they're not there. And even getting to be shown, I wonder if Sage would show us systems like this those years. So thank you to Joelena and Paul for bringing us the systems to us. And as I already told us that earlier on, we said that the systems will always do almost a similar thing. There will always be a difference in terms of how do they appear, who has what where, yeah? And is it actually answering your questions? And then that's why we're saying that now these systems are always there for us, and you can actually get to learn more and more of them. So now there's a question here which has been asked to, when Jolena was talking about check-in and calculating the hours worked. So how the check-in part, is it calculated based on how you log in or enter the workplace? Need some clarification. So Jolena, you can take a few minutes, answer that. How do you calculate attendance hours in the system?
So it's mandatory for you to clock in for the system to know that you have you've checked in into work. Remember, I mentioned 3 ways of clocking in. So for example, if you're only using biometric systems, honestly, I don't have to log into WorkPay, not unless I need to check whether we have been paid. But if we are required to clock in using the mobile app, then I will log in and do the actual clocking in. on the app. All right. So there's a feature, just like I had shown on the admin side, that is what did I say? It's like a tab where you click and it's a clock in feature. So once you clock in, it will ask you, are you sure you want to clock in? And it will pick that particular log. Same thing as clocking out, you log into your app and click clock out. I see I have another question about QR codes by Jackie. Did I answer the clock in bit? So worked hours, you must actually clock in if you're using the mobile app to clock in for the worked hours to kick off calculation. That's mandatory. If you're using the biometric, of course, most of the time, biometrics are usually placed outside the door and they enable the door opening. So once you check in, most of the time it's actually called checking in, checking out. Once you check in, then the door opens and it has already picked your log that you've come in. The other bit around now the QR code, remember, for security firms, cleaning companies, if you're going to a particular location, you have to fill that book that shows that you checked in at this time, your name, what is your, for example, your ID number, your phone number, what time did you check in, etc. So using the QR code, it's a must, it's mandatory for you to have your QR code scanned by your supervisor, because remember, these are work hours. So he's probably or she's probably at the entrance, will scan your QR code, and then you're good to go. That is when we start calculating the work hours. Same thing as clocking out. You must do the actual clock out, either on the app. You must have the supervisor scan your QR code when you're clocking out, and then you must also check out on the biometric for it to show the total number of hours that you worked on that particular day. Use of biometric system being outside the organization, it means you're actually on your way out if you're checking out. So that would be my response. I hope I have answered your question. Hortense, gosh, your name is very hard. I hope I have.
Yeah. So now just to add in is that when creating time hours worked, the company will decide how to calculate it, but we always count hours worked from the start time of the shift. So it was 6 a.m. We start counting from 6 a.m. to the last time of the shift, which is 5 p.m. or 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. Or if your clock out is earlier than the end of the shift, we'll pick the clock out time as the last detail to help us get the hours worked. So if you worked past end of the shift, that is past 2 p.m., you worked up to 4 p.m., that extra will go to overtime or not overtime. So for those of us who are asking for QR code, I want to believe we actually know what it is, and you might also need to have the scanner itself within your phones to be able to get it. So
actually, Nelson,
yes.
Let me take that about QR codes. Somebody has asked, where do the cleaners get the QR codes from? How do the QR codes work? Kindly repeat on that. So we generate them from Workpay. Remember, it's employee specific. So from the system, when you're setting you up, you get to decide, are you using QR codes, are you using a biometric, or you're using the clock in, clock out feature purely on the mobile app. So we generate those codes. It's actually a printed document on paper that is added on the employees tag. How do they work? Of course, you use the mobile app. You must have been logged in on Workpay. And when you click on scan QR code, same thing as when you go to specific hotels and they tell you to scan a QR code, either turn on your camera or you go to your Google Drive and you're able to scan a QR code. It's the same process on Workpay, whereby using your mobile app, you'll just log into Workpay. Remember, you're an admin. So you click on scan QR code, you scan the employee's QR code. Yes, this is the QR code. And it's, remember, generated from the system, and it is employee specific. So there is no way a QR code will be the same as the other employees. I hope that answers your questions, your question about QR codes and how they work. Remember, I mentioned we support you through the process. So we'll not just deliver QR codes and leave you at that. You'll be able to get a training on how to do it. If an employee loses a QR code, we generate another one for that specific employee.
Next one is something I'd like to add. Can maybe make it very clear what Jailina is talking about. A QR code is basically a digit stored like this, the one that when you go to a supermarket, there's someone sitting behind a machine, and when the items are passed, you hear the ticking sound. Basically, what is happening is someone is holding a device like this one, and he either brings it close to that code, and the data is picked. Basically, that's how we handle it. This machine of ours has a place to read the QR code. That's exactly the same thing that would happen with very many things. You can either use a portable machine, you can use a mobile application, or the QR codes can be fixed in a specific location for work tours. You know, if you're dealing with cleaners, you need to ensure that they clean everywhere. So you place the QR codes in different floors. So the person has to move to all those places. And if a QR code is missing, then you know that that place was not covered. Basically, that's how QR codes work. Back to you, Nelson.
Okay, thank you for the clarification of QR codes. And then someone is asking about the costs. So Martha, I will be able to get to reach you because now we are having two of them, the providers here. We want us to start discussing costs here. You can get the costs separately, and we'll be able to shoot you an email on the same. So these systems, they are cloud-based. All of them are cloud-based. And the data storage to scope is depending with what the client would want. If they want it to be stored in their own servers, or they want it to be stored in the provider servers, as long as it is safe there, it is the employer or the user that will actually choose where they want the data to be stored. And then yes, Cynthia Burungu, these systems, you talk about QR code, then you must have a smartphone. So if you don't have a smartphone, that's why we're coming in and saying you can actually clock in using the devices. That's why we still have the devices being relevant. Or if not devices, then the devices can work. And what I've not seen within the two systems is a web-based clock-in, clock-out. It is available in HRMates, where within the same website, the browser that you are having, the browser, if you open the system, if you log in into account, you can see somewhere you can clock in, clock out. And if I didn't see it in any of the systems, they can actually clarify the same, but I didn't see that one coming up. So these systems, again, remember, systems that are coming up again, you also need to upgrade your infrastructure. That's why smartphones have become, they've become a bit cheaper somehow, a bit cheaper compared to the, or not cheaper, but affordable to most people. And that's why this would work. And the tricky part will be when you install an app into a phone, it will ask you about, can XX system or XX app access your contacts, access what and what, all those options. So it's you also to regulate what can be accepted and what cannot be accepted for you to work. So those are the data breaches or data gaps that the providers need to solve in terms of helping us to build sustainable systems. To our team members who are here, Paul Badia, do you have something to say? Prudence? Teresa?
Before you proceed, I think I have a question to Paul. I see that you have the check-in, check-out on the web. How is that geotagged? If it was on a laptop, would you turn on? I don't know. Maybe I am still behind. Do we have locations on laptops? Yes?
Yes. Do have that.
Yeah, Paul has it, yes. Yeah.
Can I continue, Nelson?
No, I'm saying that you had it. Actually, I had not seen it in this system. I see that you already have.
Yeah, to answer your question, we have a way of tracking the location. After we set the radius for you here, then after that, when you come to the web, you're definitely going to clock in and clock out. Check, you choose the specific work location that you've been assigned. Check in, check. Then from there, the system can automatically know whether you are within the work location or not. And that's why we have this report, off location. If you're off location, those hours are automatically, you can see like so many people have been out of work location. That's how we deal with that.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting. One last comment. Nelson, before we proceed to Cynthia, you're asking how does it work, this work for employees without smartphones? So it's not mandatory for all the employees to have smartphones, but you can have one dedicated phone per site, and that is where the use of QR codes come in. I think if that's your concern in regards to, so you can have a mixture of people who have smartphones, you can have a mixture of people who are using the biometric, and you can have a mixture of people who are using QR code, because it depends on where your employees are actually located. Yeah.
Okay, there's something I missed, Nelson, please. Let me just say this. Or to answer that question of what happens if someone doesn't have a smartphone. So that's why we designed this device. We designed this biometric device. This is like a tablet, but it has a place where someone can clock in using their fingerprint. So this is portable. It's given to the supervisor. Say like you have employees in a building somewhere very far. You give this device to them, and the employees can just clock in and clock out using it. It's a portable biometric device. That's how we have answered that question. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. And for our participants who are in here, anyone with a comment? Richard, are you still there? Florence?
I have to be here so that our good friend has to be told to count how many times he has used my name for future coffee dates. I am here.
Any comment?
I am happy. I am learning a lot from these systems, that anybody who wants to have businesses that are progressive, it is something that has to be incorporated in our management, and it is important for HR people to be at the tip of the spear in terms of spearheading the implementation of systems, because that is how to add value to organization and add value to the profession as well. Thank you. Keep it up.
Thank you. Okay. Jocelyn, Joram, and Ivan, anyone with a comment? And if not, any other comment, I would want to thank us for attending these sessions. Actually, we've seen that the providers are doing what they can.
I can see Paul. Paul has raised his hand.
Yes, Paul. Paul?
Okay, yes, thank you so much, Nelson, for this session. Actually, I've also picked quite a number of things that I thought that I knew, but actually it has been a learning session for me. For me, the QR code, I've learned about the QR code. I was wondering, how do you log in employees who are working remotely? But today, at least, I've learned that you can also generate the codes from the system and attach it somewhere where employees are able to log in. So maybe for me, my concern is for us, we already have a system that does the time and attendance. So for me, maybe my concern would be if maybe these two systems can be integrated to the already existing ERP systems, like maybe the Oracle and the SAP, etc. Can they be integrated, or they're just standalone systems? Because for us, we've integrated our system to our payroll system, to our quarter system, to every system that we use has been integrated into one. So maybe the providers can answer that.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can be integrated. And nowadays, that is, the open API is always there. As long as both parties agree, then it's always integratable. I've seen the chat from Paul saying that. Yes. Any other person with a comment? I want to close to close the session when you still have a burning point on your end, but I see that we don't have, and would want to thank us for attending this session. And you continually learn and get to understand what's going on. And we are looking at something that now going forward, now that we've now exhausted attendance, now we can now go to the next stage. We are looking at, okay, now the real performance. How do we even check performance of an employee? Okay, you clocked in, so how do we bring up your performance? And Paul touched about it in terms of work report. So when those systems already come up, how do we manage the performance of remote teams? Yeah, and even those who are working in the office, how do we do that? So thank you very much, and Have a lovely evening.
You as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
so it's Zoran. Kindly, I would like to
Thank
know,
you.
can we generate a HR expenses, but maybe
Thank you.
from
Thank
the
you too.
Joram, I think you can reach out. Let me just put my number there so that you can reach out. People are now leaving and thank yous are coming out. So
Okay.
sorry for that. You can get to me on 0706. I'm displaying it on the screen. And from there, you can chat up and understand. No worries about that.
well received. Thank you, Nelson.
Karibu.
Right.
Give me a call
Right.
tomorrow. I don't have my phone here with me. Yeah.
Coach Richie mwenyewe, Coach Richie.
Vipi bana. I missed the cost thing bana.
Yeah. You know, I can listen to some good vibes from the funny.
Yeah, those are good vibes.
These guys from
Yeah,
Pwani.
we've missed you in Nairobi chapter.
Yeah, unajua me, I don't have backbone for for tough stuff. Eh?
For tough stuff.
Yeah.
Or it became too toxic.
That is what I'm saying. It is too tough.
No. But you are bringing in some very good vibes there.
Eh?
You are bringing in some very good vibes there. You know, sometimes when things are tough, we need somebody who actually neutralizes things.
I should consider coming back.
Yeah, you know, everyone has something to offer, by the way. There are
Very
people
true.
There are people who bring positive vibes. There are people who bring different things on the table because, you know, we
Sure.
must develop ourselves wholesomely.
Sure. You're right. Completely.
Yeah, we should develop ourselves wholesomely, not just consuming one type of information. So we need
You're right.
we need a mixture, combination of everything.
You're right. Life is a mixture. Totally. It's a synergy of so many things.
Yeah, so you should be back. You should consider coming back.
I will.
No, he's actually there just reading. I think I need to be there with activity.
Ukiona imekuwa toxic, you just mute kidogo, you read and then you wait for the opportune time to bounce back.
I agree. I should consider coming back. But you're right. We shouldn't only be consuming, because in life there is joy, there are funerals, there's sickness, there's surgery.
Yeah, very true. By the way, you missed a lot. Last week we had a fantastic networking session in Mombasa.
Yes, I did. I had something. I had 2 clients I was coaching and I couldn't miss them. They were going for an interview.
It was packed.
Yes, I saw it. I saw pictures.
Ulikosa. I'm telling you, people were so hungry. People were passionate. People were dying for networking session.
The value of networking is incalculable.
You know, I was telling people the last time we had a physical meetup in Mombasa was in 2019. So you can imagine how people were longing for this day. You know, in Mombasa, people don't meet as frequent as Nairobi.
No, they don't. But those times we used to come there. It was quite active.
Yeah, I remember. You used to come. Yes. But you know, yeah, it was a very good session, by the way. Akina Nelson, Akina Grace. They really do. They did a good job.
Thank you.
So they should maintain the same tempo, because you see, at least maybe once in a month we should be having a physical meetup. Maybe next time we should be talking about now team building, fun activities. But for me, these days, I'm passionate about green HR.
Green HR, that is something that we need to put our heads together and spearhead it and see how it goes, because it's something that is going to be necessary.
Yeah, because you see, because me, I was thinking maybe as we go to schools, institutions to do the career fairs, we can also be planting like 100 trees in every school that we visit. Maybe we identify the young farmers club, we give them like 100 seedlings. You see, that